It's strange how everything can change in a matter of seconds. And that's exactly what happened that Thursday afternoon, when my flight was canceled because of a storm. I had been visiting my sister Joanne for 3 days. She had just gotten out of the hospital after a delicate surgery. The plan was to return on Saturday, but with the cancellation, I managed to get a seat on the last bus leaving that night. I got home around 11 in the morning on Friday, much earlier than everyone expected. My name is Margaret, and I've been living alone in a big house since my husband passed away. My 2 sons, Richard and Charlie, live nearby and have always been my greatest joy. Richard has been married to Jennifer for 4 years, a young woman who always seemed nice and polite, but shy. We never developed that closeness I hoped to have with a daughter-in-law. She was always reserved, quiet, almost never looked me in the eye when we talked. I tried to get closer, invited her to lunch, asked about her work as a nurse, but there was an invisible wall between the two of us. When I opened my front door that morning, everything was silent. I left my suitcase in the entryway and went to the kitchen to get a glass of water. That's when I heard a noise coming from my bedroom, a metallic sound, as if someone were handling something. My heart raced. I thought of burglars, of a break-in, of everything a woman my age imagines when faced with a situation like that. I grabbed the umbrella that was by the door and climbed the stairs slowly, walking on tiptoe to avoid making noise. My bedroom door was ajar. I pushed it open carefully, and what I saw left me completely frozen. It was Jennifer. My daughter-in-law was kneeling in front of my safe with a flashlight in her hand and several tools scattered on the floor. She was trying to force the lock open. My first reaction was intense anger. I felt the blood rush to my face. How dare she? How dare she enter my house, my bedroom, and try to steal what was mine? I stood there for a few seconds, trying to process what I was seeing. Then she turned around. Our eyes met, and what I saw on her face wasn't fear or guilt. Her eyes were swollen from crying so much, and she looked desperate. Jennifer started trembling when she saw me. She dropped the flashlight on the floor and stood up quickly, her hands still holding a small screwdriver. I managed to say just one word, almost breathlessly. Why? She was shaking all over, her eyes full of tears that began streaming down her face. I moved closer, still holding that ridiculous umbrella, not knowing if I was angry or scared. You're going to answer me now, Jennifer. What are you doing here? How did you get into my house? My voice came out louder than I intended. She took a step back and leaned against the wall, as if she wanted to disappear right there. Mrs. Margaret, I can explain. My face was serious. I felt disappointed, but I wasn't prepared for what I was about to discover. Then explain. Explain why my daughter-in-law is trying to open my safe while I'm supposed to be traveling. Explain why you're in my house without my permission. Go ahead, I'm waiting. She sobbed and ran her hands over her face, trying to wipe away the tears that wouldn't stop falling. I took the spare key that Richard always keeps in the kitchen drawer. I knew you wouldn't be here. I needed the money that's in there. Money. Of course it was money. Inside that safe, I kept all the savings I had accumulated over the years. It was almost $200,000, the result of hard work, careful saving, many sacrifices. It was the money I had set aside for emergencies, to help my children if they needed it, to have security in old age. And there was my daughter-in-law, my oldest son's wife, trying to steal from me. Do you know what this means, Jennifer? Do you know I can call the police right now? She fell to her knees on the floor and clasped her hands together as if she were praying. Please, Mrs. Margaret, please, listen to me. I know what I did is horrible. I know you'll never forgive me, but I had no choice. I swear I had no choice. I crossed my arms, still not understanding anything. Choice? Everyone has a choice, Jennifer. You chose to sneak in here and try to rob me. Now give me a reason not to call Richard and the police right now. She was still on her knees on my bedroom floor when she started talking. Her voice was low, laden with a pain I couldn't yet comprehend. It's my mother, Mrs. Margaret. My mother is dying. I felt a tightness in my chest, but I said nothing. I just waited for her to continue. She has cancer. It started in her lung and spread. The doctor said she has 6 months to live at most if she doesn't get treatment. There's a private clinic in another city that has a new experimental protocol that could extend her life, maybe even cure her. But it costs a lot of money. Much more than my stepfather and I have been able to save. She wiped her face with the back of her hand and looked at me with those red, swollen eyes. I sold everything I had. Some shoes, my jewelry, my car, everything. I borrowed money from everyone I know. I worked double shifts at the hospital every day for the last few months. But it's still not enough. There's still a lot of money missing. My anger began transforming into something else, something I didn't want to feel yet, but that was starting to take shape in my chest. And Richard? Does he know about this? Jennifer shook her head, tears falling even faster. He doesn't know anything. I didn't tell him because I'm ashamed. Ashamed to ask for help, ashamed to admit I can't save my own mother. She covered her face with her hands and began sobbing loudly, her whole body shaking. My mother is everything to me, Mrs. Margaret. She raised me alone after my father abandoned us when I was 8 years old. She worked as a housekeeper, a cook, a laundress, everything to give me an education, to help me become a nurse. Everything I am today is because of her, and now she's dying, and I can't do anything. I feel completely useless. I felt my legs go weak. I pulled over the chair that was next to the vanity and sat down, still trying to process all of this. Why didn't you tell me this before, Jennifer? Why didn't you ask for help? She raised her face, and her expression was one of pure shame. Because you've always been so good to me, even though I've been cold and distant. I couldn't get close because I was afraid that you would find out I come from an extremely poor family, that my mother never had anything, that I grew up with nothing. I was afraid I wasn't good enough for Richard, wasn't good enough to be part of this family. My heart tightened even more. I never imagined she felt this way. It never crossed my mind that her coldness was actually insecurity, fear of not being accepted. I got up from the chair and approached her. I extended my hand and helped Jennifer stand up from the floor. She was so fragile, so broken, that it seemed like she would crumble at any moment. I held her hands between mine and looked deep into my daughter-in-law's red and tired eyes. Jennifer, listen very carefully to what I'm going to tell you now. I don't care where you came from, how much money your family had or didn't have. What matters to me is people's hearts, their character. And you've shown you have both by caring for your mother with such dedication, even going through all this alone. Her tears started again, but this time they were different. She squeezed my hands tightly. Mrs. Margaret, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for doing this, for trying to steal from you. I don't know what came over me. I was desperate. I wasn't thinking straight. I shook my head. You're not going to steal anything from me, Jennifer, because I'm going to give you the money you need. She widened her eyes, as if she hadn't understood what I said. What? No, Mrs. Margaret, I can't accept that. It was bad enough that I tried to... I put my finger to her lips, asking for silence. You can and will accept it. It's not a loan, it's not a favor, it's a gift. Your mother deserves this chance, and you deserve to have peace of mind to care for her. Jennifer fell to her knees again, but this time she pulled me down with her. The two of us stayed there, kneeling on my bedroom floor, hugging, crying together. She cried with relief, with gratitude, with everything she had held inside for so long. And I cried because I finally understood my daughter-in-law, finally could see beyond that wall she had built to protect herself. Thank you, Mrs. Margaret. Thank you, thank you, thank you, she kept repeating, her voice muffled against my shoulder. I pulled her back a bit and held her face between my hands. Now listen to me carefully. From today on, you're no longer alone in this. I'm going to be with you every step of this journey. We're going to save your mother together. Understand?" She nodded, her face wet with tears, but with a glimmer of hope in her eyes that I had never seen before. I opened the safe, took out the money she needed, and placed it in her hands. In that moment, that money I had saved so carefully gained a purpose much greater than any financial security could give me. I was saving a life and at the same time gaining the daughter I had always wanted to have. 3 months later, Jennifer's mother started treatment. Jennifer and I went together to every appointment, held her hand at every session, prayed together in every difficult moment. Richard was moved when we finally told him everything, and our family came together in a way I never imagined possible. Today, almost a year after that terrible and wonderful day, Jennifer's mother is in remission. The doctors are optimistic, and she's smiling again, has hope again. And Jennifer? She became the daughter I never had. We have coffee together every week, talk about everything, laugh, cry, share life. Sometimes I look back and think about what would have happened if my flight hadn't been canceled that day. Maybe I never would have discovered the truth. Maybe Jennifer would have continued carrying that weight alone. But life is like that. Sometimes the worst moments lead us to the greatest gifts, and that day gave me the greatest gift I could receive, a true family united by love and compassion.